This video is going to focus on finding the relatives, mins, and maxes in a polynomial graph. The directions again, this is number 32, are to approximate the relative mins and maxes to the nearest tenth, and he gave you some options. This type of question, if your polynomial isn't factorable, to find the zeros can be really, really difficult, okay? And basically your only option at this point, without using a graphing calculator to even just get a table of values, are to work on some particular values, use your end behaviors, and then try your best to get like a sketch of what's going on and just use the answer choices that are given to you. So here, what I would do for this particular one, we know it's an or we know it's to the fourth power, we know it's negative, and so we know we're going to have this sort of end behavior here. We know that it could have a maximum of 3 turning points, and then again, it could kind of, if we were to sketch it out, could look something like this. So there could be, 1 minimum and 2 maximums. That's sort of where it could be. So that could be helpful. It could not have those possibilities though. Like this could be like your biggest option. If again, this can be factored by grouping, that's a whole nother choice because that can help you get zeros, and then you can start to pick points in between your zero values where it's crossing the x-axis, and then you're getting some more data here, some more information. So for this one again, here's what I would do. I would just really start to pick some values and see if you can kind of get a bit of a sketch of the graph. Again, where is it above 0? Where is it below 0? This is going to take some time by hand. So again, as you're working through the exam, you just really want to kind of manage your time and make sure you can answer the questions that you can. So one of the things, of course, that jumps out to me is that when x is 0, f of x is -6. So I know that I'm going to be checking out some points over here to see what's happening, and I know I want to check out some points over here. I want to see if my graph is going back up on either case. So that's why I also checked out 1 and -1. When I put in 1 for x, I got -4. And then when I got -1, I got -2. So I know at some point, again, my graph, it looks like it's going to dip down here, and this is going to be some sort of relative minimum. And then it looks like it's going to be coming up, back up at some point and kind of going back down. And the same thing that's happening here. I'm just guessing and sketching. So now I'm going to pick a couple more values, maybe 2 and -2, and see what I get. Again, this is just a lot by hand. I'm going to pause the video so I can get some numbers here for us. Okay, so when I substituted 2 in, I got -14, and when I substituted -2 in, I got +2. So what are some things that tell us? Again, for this graph, I hit the 0. At 1, I was up to -4, and then by -2, I'm coming back down by +2. I can also tell that this is going to start to be really where my end behavior starts to kick in, because now I'm looking at big positive values of x, and this is going to be a negative, this will be a negative, and it will just start to overtake the rest of the polynomial. So I know that I'm just going to end up negative here. So that means I know that I have a relative min here, or sorry, relative max here. I know I have a minimum here. And then for the next part, at -2, the function is at 2. So I know it started to peak up. There's definitely going to be something else happening here because it has to turn around and go back down. At this point in time, what I would do is just kind of stop and pause and look at the different options for the answers. So if you look here, or if you go back to your notes and you look at your specific possible answer options based on what we just did here, are Relative min was at 0, -6. So that just limited you to option B. And then you can kind of go back and double check, is your maximum as at -1.8, 2.3. So again, it actually came up and started to go back down here. We didn't have to know that exactly. We just needed to know that there is a maximum around this point. And then the other one was at 1.1, -4, which kind of also is true based on what we saw here. This was turning around somewhere in between 1 and 2 on the x, so 1.1 is where it ended up turning around. At this point, without using a graph, this is the quickest and easiest way that you're going to do this. If possible, I would factor this and find the zeros first, then use those end behaviors, and then pick points and start to see what was happening, and then use your answer choices from the multiple choice portion to figure out where exactly you're going to be.